Hey, good morning. Rob Harrington, cranky old car guy. You had a wonderful, another beautiful day in Florida. Today's topic is beginning your sales process, the proper sales process in 2023. There's three weird questions that typically most all consumers fail to ask a seller of their car. This is through private individual or dealer, doesn't matter. And there's pros and cons for both those, by the way. It's not a perfect system buying from an individual versus buying from a dealer. And we're going to talk about that on another day. But remember, you're going to want to eventually talk to the seller on the phone. That's got to happen. Otherwise, how are you going to win your battle if you don't build a relationship, as we've talked about in previous videos, right? So on this phone call, what you want to ask are these three weird questions that very few of you ever asked, and they're important questions if you want to save the most time, effort, and money buying your next used car. The first question is going to be, do you charge fees outside of the price of the car and the state required tax tag, title, and registration fees? And that's going to involve dealer prep, dealer doc, but there's so many different names for these fees. Some dealers have invented other fees and put them on top of other fees. You need to know what all their fees are going to look like on what's called a bill of sale, because they have to disclose all these fees to you, or they're committing a bad business practice that's consumer affairs would consider a deceptive or false business practice. So they have to disclose this to you in your bill of sale when you close. And if they're not willing to show you a bill of sale, they're suspect. They're hiding something. So get those in writing in your notepad, because eventually, part of your sales process, you need a notepad and you need to write notes down. And you need to ask the same questions to all your potential sellers. So they are entitled to charge a dealer doc or dealer prep. They're entitled to do that because there is a cost associated. The question is it an egregious, overbearing cost? Is it deceptive in any nature, or is it legitimate? There is a cost to selling a car, such as I got to pay Marcella, my wife, ex-wife, business partners, mother of my kids of 27 years now. I got to pay her money to go run to the state and do those things. And by law, as a seller, we have to do that. We have to do your tax tag, title, registration, collection, and send them to the state, or we're violating the law and we get in trouble, lose our license, get fined, or I go to prison on sales tax issues if I don't give them the proper amount. So we're going to do it by the book, and most dealers are going to play it by the rules and by the book too, because they don't want to lose their license, they don't want to go to jail, they don't want to be fined and hassled by the DMV investigator. So there you go. The second question is, what is your inspection process? Find out what their inspection process is. If they don't answer, we get it out on the highway. We drive the car for 10, 15 miles. We get it on a lift. If you're not getting those answers in their inspection process, you're not getting a good inspection by the dealer. Those are things that you ultimately are responsible for, is hire your mechanic on no matter whose car you're gonna buy and get it inspected. Remember, a used car is about a 4,000 plus or minus used parts, and heat and friction and wear and tear and hot and cold and scrubbing and rubbing and grinding, and that all parts disintegrate. All of them disintegrate eventually. That's what you're buying when you buy a used car, right? The third and weirdest question that nobody asks, and I think it's going to become very important as we move forward in this industry, is going to be, I'm curious about your business. How do you guys make any money at this? What's your overhead? And, try to find out how many people are working there, because figure $4 or $5 grand a month per person if they're well paid, if they're good at what they do, salespeople, managers, whatever. If they have 3-4 people hanging around and they're paying $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 a month in their rent, they're going to start climbing 20, 25, 30 grand a month in overhead. Who pays for that? Let's say it's 20 grand a month and they sell 20 cars. That's $1,000 quote unquote profit they have to make just for the owner to break even. So I would start asking that question. You can use this consumer word track. I'm curious about your business. I know it's a difficult business. I know things are tough right now. You're not selling as many cars as you used to. or across the board, that's about the average answer you're going to get from most independent guys especially. Question is, what are you paying for overhead every month? I'm curious. As a consumer, nobody's ever asked you that before, but I'd like to ask to get the answer to that if you don't mind. And I think most guys will start crying on your shoulder and tell you how tough the business is, because they want to build some sympathy and try to cement a relationship any way they can to sell you a car. So start with those 3 questions on the phone before you go tear-assing off into the car buying wilderness out there and start driving cars unnecessarily that you're never going to buy anyhow, because you haven't finished your proper research up front and you're doing this backwards. Don't do it backwards. There is a process and a system. In the next video, we're going to go over what is your exact process for doing this properly to save the most time, effort, and money in buying a car. That's today's little video on the 3 weird questions that you guys typically never ask, but you need to start putting that in your process on the phone with your notepad. Have a great day. God bless you and peace.